Hey, before we begin tonight, I just want to say, whatever kind of day you had, you're allowed to leave it behind now. You're here. You pressed play. You gave yourself a moment. That's more than enough. So let the world pause for a bit. Let your shoulders drop. And if your brain's still buzzing like a laptop with too many tabs open, don't worry. You're not alone. Now let me tell you what happened one night. When I made the worst possible decision a tired human can make, I decided to be productive. At 11:42 p.m. It started with a simple thought, one I've had 1,000 times and never learned from. I'll just clean one thing. Yeah. Famous last words of every person who's ever spiraled into a full-blown home renovation after midnight. I was already in pajamas. I had brushed my teeth. I had fluffed the pillow and even done the ceremonial scroll my phone until my eyes blur ritual. But then I saw it. A spoon, just sitting in the sink, alone, smug, mocking me. Now, I could have walked away. Let it be. Accepted that no one in the history of ever has achieved inner peace by cleaning a single spoon at midnight. But no, my brain said, one spoon today, a cleaner, calmer life tomorrow. So I washed the spoon, and that was the beginning of the end. Because right next to the spoon was a bowl, and under the bowl was a weird sticky ring that looked like it came from a potion someone spilled in a medieval tavern. I had questions, but instead of asking them, I grabbed the sponge, and the next thing I knew, I was elbow deep in soap bubbles, running a mental TED talk on how cleaning the sink at night unlocks your highest self. The counters, wiped. The stovetop, scrubbed like it owed me money. The weird drawer where I keep batteries, soy sauce packets, and sadness, organized. At some point, I found myself standing in front of the fridge, holding a half lemon from 3 weeks ago, and wondering if citrus technically expires, if it still smells kind of optimistic. Spoiler, it does. And it was growing a small emotional support ecosystem. By the time I looked at the clock, it was 1:26 a.m. I had cleaned the kitchen, questioned the concept of spoon guilt, thrown out 4 condiments I hadn't used since the Obama administration, and was somehow planning a full pantry makeover based on one TikTok I half remembered from 2021. But I wasn't done. Because now I felt momentum. And you know what happens when a tired person feels momentum? Bad decisions. So naturally, I moved to the living room. Because what pairs better with a freshly wiped kitchen than a chaotic nest of throw blankets and anxiety crumbs? At first, I just fluffed the couch cushions. Innocent, harmless, comfortable even. But then, I noticed the corner. You know the corner. Every home has one. That weird little spot where mail, receipts, mystery chargers, and 97% of your unresolved responsibilities go to die. I stared at it like an archaeologist discovering a new layer of civilization. Under one crumpled grocery receipt was a to-do list from 4 months ago. Item 1. Declutter the corner. Rude. I picked up a rubber band that had no business being there, then another, then a pen that had clearly exploded out of protest. And before I knew it, I had entered the zone. That slippery space between motivation and madness where your body moves on autopilot and your brain starts giving weird motivational speeches like, you're not just cleaning, you're reinventing your life. I was organizing candles by scent strength. I was folding tote bags I didn't even know I owned. I found 3 coasters, all shaped like pineapples, and zero memory of ever acquiring them. At one point, I sat down on the floor, not to rest, but to sort cables. Why do I have so many cables, and why do none of them fit anything I currently use? USB-A, micro USB, HDMI, some unknown relic from the Roman Empire, and yet I can never find a charger when I actually need one. I held up one wire dramatically, like Simba in The Lion King, and whispered to the room, "What do you go to, strange serpent?" The cable did not respond, because cables are emotionally unavailable. Anyway, the pile of useful but mysterious tech accessories got relocated to a drawer labeled "Figure Out Later," which in my language means never open again unless desperate. By 2:03 a.m., the living room sparkled, which is impressive because I don't remember buying anything that sparkles. I sat back, admired my work, and then immediately noticed a single crooked painting on the wall, just slightly tilted, almost imperceptible, like it was mocking me. I stood up, adjusted it, stepped back. Nope, now it was tilted the other way. So I fixed it again, then again, and somehow, in the process, knocked over a fake plant that had been living peacefully on a shelf for 6 years. It hit the ground with a dramatic plastic thud, spilling fake soil and judgment all over my clean floor. The universe had spoken, "Go to bed." But did I listen? Of course not, because now I was holding a vacuum. And once you're holding a vacuum at 2:12 a.m., you've officially crossed into the point of no return. So now I'm vacuuming at 2:12 in the morning, in pajamas, listening to my own thoughts echo louder than the appliance. Somewhere between the bookshelf and the doorway, I started questioning every life decision I've made in the past decade. Why do I own 5 mugs but only drink from one? Why does the vacuum sound louder at night, like it knows I'm not supposed to be doing this? Why am I like this? Then my sock got caught in the cord. I tripped, nearly face-planted into my live, laugh, love wall art. And as I lay there, half tangled in wires and shame, I thought, this was supposed to be a spoon. I sat back on the rug, let the vacuum wheeze to a stop, and looked around the apartment. It was cleaner than it had been in months, maybe years, definitely cleaner than my mental health. But somehow, I didn't feel victorious. I just felt tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, the kind of tired that comes from trying too hard to fix everything at once. A spoon turned into a spiral, because I thought productivity would solve my restlessness. But really, I just needed rest. So I turned off the vacuum, put the fake plant back on the shelf like it hadn't experienced trauma, and shuffled into the kitchen for water. That's when I saw it. The spoon, back in the sink, not even dirty. I had just forgotten to put it away. I stared at it for a solid 10 seconds, then whispered, "You win." And I went to bed, with the spoon still there, because sometimes growth means letting one thing stay messy, even if it's just a spoon. As I lay down, finally, I thought about how weirdly beautiful the whole mess had been. How productivity didn't save me, but it did distract me long enough to make peace with my chaos. And maybe that's what night is for. Not always sleep, not always silence, but soft moments of accidental honesty. So if you're still awake, thinking about your own mess, physical or otherwise, don't be too hard on yourself. You're not broken. You're just tired and human, and probably overdue for a water break. You did enough today, even if all you did was exist. even if all you cleaned was a spoon. So breathe in, hold it, forget what you were doing, and breathe out with the kind of sigh that says today was weird, but I survived it. Sleep well, you chaotic legend. You did great.